Hi, it's December 29th, and I thought I would share with all of you my thoughts regarding 2025 and 2026. So, in 2025, this is what I got done. I completed 29 actual quilts. Most of them, though, were table runner size and wall hanging size. Some of them like larger wall hangings, but not really big quilts, but I got 29 done. And a lot of them were from the subscription box that I got, Open Gate Quilts, which I stopped getting, I think, after the April box. They were very doable projects. However, they were taking up a lot of my time, and which was okay. I used most of them as gifts for people because they weren't the color family that I was interested in keeping, but it was great to give them as gifts because they were things that other people wanted. And then I canceled that so that I could try out the Bella Rose box and the Creative Notions boxes. Now, when I got those, then I became a little bit overwhelmed with this because the size of the projects in those boxes are much larger. So I got behind on that, on doing those subscription box quilts. But in the meantime, also, I was doing the Crazy Moose UFO Challenge. So I had 12 monthly projects and 4 quarterly projects that I had in the lineup to work on throughout the year. And I got a lot of that done too. And then I was also belonged to Sewers Club for most of last year, this year, 2025. And that I got every single project done that was with the Sewers Club boxes. And then there was Advent too that I had gotten the previous year, and I did some projects from the Carmen's Quilt Shop. Made some patterns up from that box, and then the Open Gate quilt box, Advent box I had done also. And I did not get to Evelyn, but I got the other projects that were in her box done. All of that leads me to understand that I need to not have so many subscription boxes going on. So I can't keep up with them because I have a lot of projects here at my house. Plus, they cost a lot of money. So my plan for this year is to get the So Let's Make a Bag subscription, because I want to explore bag making. And it provides you with everything you need in order to make those bags. And they have different designers that they use for the patterns. And they give you a choice of your fabrics. They have like fabric colorways. And this last one, they had 6 to choose from. So I'm getting colors more to my liking that I might use for myself. So I'm going to try that one out. I'm also going to get the first Bella Rose box, see how I feel about that, and I might continue it or I might not. I've got the Bella Rose Advent box already ordered, and I'm going to be trying out the 2 Chicks Quilting Valentine box. I already paid for that. But this is going to be, other than the So Let's Make a Bag subscription and perhaps the Bella Rose subscription, this is going to be a pretty much of a low buy, no buy year, 2026. So, I also did not get 4 of my UFOs done. The 3rd quarter and 4th quarter projects did not get finished, and the August and November projects did not get finished. So when I look at that, I'm able to do a lot more sewing in the beginning of the year, but when summer comes around, I got all the gardening stuff and other stuff going on, so my time is very much shortened as to what I can work on. And then you have Christmas, you have all the holidays coming up in the fall too. So my most prolific time is now, after Christmas. So keeping that in mind is one of the things for how I decided what I'm going to do. So I did 29 actual quilts in 2025, and I did 31 sewing projects. I considered the sewing projects mostly bags, bag making, pouches, baskets, stuff like that. That isn't a quilt. Even though some of the bags are quilted, I'm considering it sewing. So I had 31 projects of that, 29 quilts that I made, and then other projects I had 4. And that's like, I did one placemat on my Placemat Loom and one rug on my rug loom during 2025. And then I had made a big cat bed that goes on a shelf that I used an old quilt wall hanging that wasn't being used anymore. So I cut that up to use for the cat bed and stuffed that with all of the 2 small crumbs from my cutting of scraps. And really small batting scraps. So I used up those for that. So that was good. And then I had done some repairs for my dad at his house. So that was my other projects. So that was pretty much what I did in 2025. So I was considering this. So I went through, made a list of the things that I wanted to think about for 2026 and what I want to do this year. I want a UFO challenge mindset where progress on the UFO is important, not finishing it. So I want to have the projects be something that doesn't have a due date, because some of my UFOs from this year, I wanted them for gifts and then they didn't come up and I couldn't use it for the gift, you know? So I made the projects for this year's UFOs are not meant for any specific event. So I don't have a due date so that I can take as long as I want doing them, because I like to take my time on projects and I don't want to feel rushed. If I want to add extra details, I don't want to not do it because I want to get it done by a certain date. I want to be able to take my time and add things to my projects, like embellishments if I want to, because I'm trying to do embroidery, learning that kind of stuff. And I might want to add that kind of stuff to these projects. So that was one of the things in my mindset for deciding on what UFOs I wanted to assign to my boxes. I also want to have various kinds of projects that are in progress states, like hand embroidery, maybe some long-term mystery projects, the Jane Austen quilt. I want to do hand quilting. I want to work on my rug loom and Placemat Loom. I want to have work on projects that are for the house, like kitchen towels, pot holders, stuff like that. Gifts for people, Christmas gifts. I want to work on those during the year and not be at the end of the year. I want to do machine quilting and the hand quilting. And I have to have time for scrap organizing and cutting also. And I have to also rearrange my fabric shelves because they're a mess. So there needs to be time in there for that. I want to start working on some of my panel quilts. And I want to work on using up the scraps. So doing scrap quilts. This is a lot. This is a lot of stuff I want to do for 2026. So this is part of why I'm thinking, how am I going to fit this stuff in? I made up a pro and a con list for the subscriptions that I was getting, which is this that I did in my notebook. And it's like, I included like the ones that are already canceled, like Open Gate, because it's a great club. But I need to think about what I have time for and based on the new things I want to learn. So I can only really afford one Advent box. So that's going to be the Bella Rose 12-day Advent box. So that was one of the things I had in here that I needed to figure out and decide on. We had some major tree damage coming on the house. So I need to save up some money to get some trees taken down and maybe some repairs to our skylight, which got broken just this last storm. So I'm going to need to use funds that I was willy-nilly spending on subscriptions and sewing stuff. Needs to go towards house stuff, which is fine because I have what I need for sewing. I really do. It was just nice having all those presents coming in the mail. So for 2026, I do not buy unless absolutely necessary for a project completion. Write down what you think you want to purchase. Wait between 1 to 4 weeks and then revisit it. And if you still feel that you need it, then look at the budget and see if it's feasible in the budget. Now that your mind has settled down from the high of needing that thing, and do you really want it? And do you really want to spend the money on that? So that's going to be what my thinking process when I want to buy something and not impulse. And I'd like to have like a project that's cut out, ready for piecing, in case that's what I feel like doing. Sometimes you just want to do some mindless piecing. So I'd like to have projects ready like that. And I also want to have something that's sandwiched and ready for quilting, for machine quilting if that's what I want to do, and for hand quilting if that's what I want to do. I don't have any of this kind of stuff like organized like that. I've just been like working on whatever comes to mind, is whatever's next. That's what I've been doing. And I also want to do hand sewing. So I want to have like embroideries, making yo-yos, English paper piecing. I want to learn those things. And I have some kits now that I want to be able to use to make. So this was my thought process. I was things that I wanted to think about for 2026. And I've been making this list as I think of things throughout December. So then I was also like looking at my expenses. So let's make a bag. That's $540 a year. And I need to get sewing machine maintenance done too. And any other things that might come up sewing related that I wasn't planning for. So that's a lot right there. So I think that's going to take up my budget, and I need $125 yet to pay the remainder of the Bella Rose Advent box in July. So that's for that. And then when I was looking at the monthly and quarterly UFO projects, if on the monthly project, if I don't get the top piece that month, I'm going to stop working on it at the end of the month and put it aside, and it'll be transferred over to next year's monthly UFO. If I do get the top piece, then I will continue with it during this year, 2026, and get it quilted and bound. Continue, have that as part of my year of work. For quarterly projects, I picked projects that I don't anticipate working on, but if I do get to work on them, I pretty much know that they're going to be moving into a monthly UFO next year. So I know this ahead of time. As long as I have it in my mind that what my plans are for these, it's all a mind game in here for overwhelming myself. It's myself that's doing it. So I've got to have a plan. So this is what I'm planning with the monthly UFO projects. If I get to this point, then I'll continue. If not, the box gets put to the side until next year, and it'll get assigned a month for next year. Don't work on the quarterly project unless that month's monthly project is finished. Then start the quarterly project. And then when the next month comes, so when you're in like January, if you get January's project finished, you can work on the quarterly project. But at the end of January, you stop working on the quarterly project, because then you're going to be working on February's project. If you get February's project done, you can continue with the quarterly project. If not, you don't, because then you're working on March's project. So at the end of the first quarter, if you haven't gotten that quarterly project done by the end of March, that gets put aside for next year. That goes into next year's pile. So that's my thinking for how I'm going to do my Crazy Moose Fabrics UFO challenge, which I paid $20 to her. to participate in that challenge this year. So we went over my subscriptions. I was even thinking about the Sew Sampler, but I was looking at Lessons Learned, her page, where she gets the Sew Sampler. And I was like, she said that braided table runner, she figured took 8 hours. And I was like, I don't know if I want to use 8 hours of the month just to get a top piece for that. I was like, all right, be realistic about your time here, because I have a lot of stuff already planned. So I'm not going to do the Sew Sampler this year. Maybe that would be something else. So I want to do more bag projects. I went through all of my projects that I could find so far. There might be even more out there buried, but I have a list of 21 bag projects that I want to do that have like either hardware included in it or the entire kit with fabric and everything. So I have 21 projects, bag projects that I want to do. That's a lot. And then I have 5 hand sewing projects that I want to do this year. And I have 5 projects from last year, from 2025 that I'm transferring to 2026. The Slow Stitch Journal, the Beauty All Around, Cottage Twirl, Callie & Co. Block of the Month, and then Morning Glories, which was my November UFO. Didn't get it done, so that is now in a monthly, it's assigned the letter I in the monthly UFO challenge project boxes. So that's getting done at some point this year too, or worked on at some point this year, Morning Glories. So also, I'm not going to assign project number to anything until I've actually started working on it, because I had 6 projects last year that I assigned numbers and I never even touched them. So that messes with my mind. I have blank spaces. I have numbers where I didn't even start or stop them, and I don't want to say I started them in 2025 when I didn't. So, and I'm not going to say I started them in 2026 because I end the project number with the year that I started it in. So those are just going to be left blank and I'm starting over. So I'm not assigning any numbers until I've started the project actually, even if it's a quarterly or a monthly UFO. Okay. This is for me. This is because I have to work with what my brain gets, what stresses out my brain and what bothers me. And then so that's what I was thinking about. And I was like, okay, that's what I have to do. And then I have some large projects that I was inventorying that I want to do. Like I have the books on Wander Lane to do that. I want to do Hometown. I still have Laundry Basket mystery quilt from this year that I didn't do. The Bella Rose mystery, the Creative Notions mystery. Anyway, and then I have projects from the subscription boxes that I didn't have room for, that I didn't assign. Autumn Waltz, Muse, and Trip Around the Block. So I was looking at what worked this year. You know, I had assigned for Beauty All Around 1 hour a week to work on that, and I made pretty good progress. And then I could do more, but I did a minimum of 1 hour a week on that. And then also it was like one time during the week I was working on Slow Journal. And I was thinking that maybe that's the way I need to go for this. So that's what I've decided. I've picked 9 different projects that I'm going to start working on in January. And each project I will work on for an hour a week on that project. So that's 9 hours of the week on that project. And if I get those hours done in the week, then I can pick one, that or other things that I need to do, like organizing shelves and stuff. Spend the rest of the week's time on other things that I need to do, because I need to organize my interfacings, and I need to do a lot of organizing in the sewing room. You know, you have the decluttering. Well, I have the organizing because it's deorganized right now. So my 9 projects for 2026 are going to be the Jane Austen quilt, the Callie & Co. 2025 block of the month, Beauty All Around, the Slow Stitching Journal, the Placemat rug, a bag making project, which is going to be Lori Holt's zippy bags first. I'm going to do that first because I have the panel for that. My January monthly UFO challenge project, whatever that will be, the Carolina Moore block of the month, and cottage twirl. So those are for January, the projects that I want to do. A month, an hour a week I'm going to assign. And I'm going to see how that goes for January and adjust then. After giving that a try for January, we'll see how it goes. If I get any of those projects finished, then like if I get the Lori Holt bag making project finished, then I'm going to go to my list for bags and I'll pick another project from my bag making list and work on that. When I get done with the slow stitching journal, I'll go to my hand sewing project list and pick one of the projects from that. So that's what I'm thinking I will do. And then in February, I also want to participate in Brenda at Mount Scrapmore. She has a YouTube channel, and she's doing Twinkle Twinkle to use strips, your scrap strips. So she said I think that's February 25th that she's starting that. So I want to, that's going to be included in my lineup. So that might be 10 hours. So anyway, what do you think? What do you think of my plan? That's my plan for how I'm picking projects to work on to start off 2026. And then I'll be adding in things throughout the year as I get some of these other projects done. I'll add in some of the other stuff from my list because I have a lot of stuff, but it's exciting. I'm really excited to start working on those. And right now I'm continuing with the ones that I'm carrying over. I won't get any of those done before Wednesday or Thursday. So those will be carried over into Thursday. And then Thursday I'll start working. I'll do my 1 hour on the 5 projects that are assigned 2026. So today, tomorrow, and Wednesday I'll do my 4 projects. The hour for the 4 projects. It's fun. All right. So that's kind of, it's not show and tell or anything. This is just, I'm just sharing my thought process for what I'm planning to do for 2026 and how I came to that conclusion as to what I'm going to do regarding spending and subscriptions and different variety of projects. I want to really work on a variety of things that I've been putting off doing. I'm going to do them. I'm going to assign an hour a week to doing them so that I get started on stuff that I've always wanted to do. So let me know, have you been thinking about 2026? And what are your plans for this upcoming wonderful year of creativity? Really. So this was a wonderful thing to reflect on this rainy day in Maine. Our 14 inches of snow are melting. Tonight we're having freezing, so it's going to be frozen like an ice chute out in our driveway tonight. But right now I'm going to go outside and I'm going to try and walk on the ice slush and not hurt myself. So I will see you later this week, okay? Because for sure I have to show you what my project's going to be for January, which hopefully I will find out on Thursday. So I will see you again probably Thursday. All right, bye.